This 21st day of August 2025, we step into critical discussions that are meant to be holding center stage, especially for us on a national level, as we are trying to catapult ourselves from one level of economic growth and development into the next one. But how do we get to do it? Well, this morning in our business update, we get to look at Africa's critical minerals powering the global future and what exactly it means specifically for Uganda. Now, the world is in the midst of a historical shift towards electric vehicles and green energy, and all this is being driven by technology. All this is being driven by solar power. But what powers these transitions are not just the new ideas that we see on our social media platforms, on all the the Teslas and all these companies that we follow. The things that power all these ideas are actually critical minerals. I'm talking about lithium, I'm talking about cobalt, and that's to mention but a few. There's the rare earth minerals that we're not aware about. So while the global demand for these resources is soaring high, we get to have a conversation that gets to look at the source of this wealth, especially in the perspective of the African continent. Now, today we delve into how this new geopolitical scramble for minerals can redefine Africa's future, and specifically what it means for Uganda's economic development. We are joined by a key voice in this discussion, Mr. Patrick Mulinda, who is the Chief of Staff at the African Minerals Strategy Group. Good morning to you, Patrick.
Good morning, Priscilla.
How are you?
I'm good.
First tell us about the Africa Minerals Strategy Group.
Thank you so much, Priscilla, and I wish to appreciate NTV for this opportunity to join you on such a very important conversation. My name is Patrick Mulindwa. I'm the Chief of Staff at the Africa Minerals Strategy Group. The initiative is an establishment of about 16 African countries, and I'm glad to mention that Uganda is part of the founding countries, African countries. So it includes DRC, South Sudan, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Somalia, and quite a number of them. Africa Minerals Strategies Group core objectives are to advance Africa minerals diplomacy. Now, mineral diplomacy is, I may not say that it's a new concept, but if we've been following the DRC case and the negotiate between DRC and the USA, now you can understand that Africa has an opportunity now to negotiate depending on what we have. In the case that China seems to have secured most of the supplies of critical minerals around Africa. Most of the EU and the US were caught outside, So the negotiate is that for everything we want now as Africa, we have a chance to negotiate because we hold what is critical. China holds about 98% of the rare earth elements, which are very, very key. And some time back, they actually cut off export, specifically to key countries, EU and the USA. So the US had to come back to Africa. So that's why I say it's very critical and very, very, very a wonderful opportunity for Africa to negotiate, because there's a negotiating and bargaining point.
All right, you have mentioned the critical minerals. Could you tell us what exactly they are and how pivotal they are for the global future and the energy transition?
Thank you so much, Priscilla. Like I told you earlier, if we had a day, we could discuss it. It would be wonderful. But one of the things we should understand around critical minerals is batteries. Because the energy transition from fossils to solar. So solar is energy from the sun.
Solar to renewable.
Okay, so if you look at the components of how we propagate solar, so you have the sun and you have the solar panel. Now the solar panel has got a battery. So what is important here is that the most important component of all when you look at the chain is the battery, which we call energy storage. Now, why these minerals are critical is because they're very critical in production of the key component in the chain of the new energy. The second thing is that they are very critical because they power the new technologies of energy transition, because solar energy is a technology of the new transition. The other clean or green energy is the wind, the wind turbines. So they are moved by wind. They too have a battery. So from electric vehicles, which have a battery, to our phones, which have a battery, almost everything has a battery. These minerals are very, very critical. And we're mentioning lithium, cobalt, copper, and the rare earth elements.
Okay, all right. So when it comes to Uganda in particular, I know that our country has been identified to have some significant deposits of minerals. You've mentioned copper and cobalt and the rare earth elements. Can you shed more light on how much we do have for these specific minerals in Uganda?
Yeah, thank you so much, Priscilla. Uganda, I would say that I wish to appreciate the leadership of His Excellency, the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Some time back, actually, there was a directive to ban export of raw minerals. And Priscilla, the funny thing on how Africa has been exploited for a very long time, the case has been around, you know, when you have lithium ore, there could be gold in it. Yes, when you have tin, the tin offcuts piled somewhere, a case we found in Zimbabwe, tin offcuts piled after the mining of tin and processing, the piling heaps of tin became lithium. That's why today Zimbabwe is one of Africa's biggest producer of lithium. So there's a ban, which are all African countries actually going for, that there's a ban on export of ore. So in this case, Uganda has got rare earth elements and metals. I don't know if you've heard of Makutu, which is a project by the Renzori company in Jinja, here. Now, out of China, the next country that hosts some of these key minerals, rare earth elements, is actually Uganda, in Jinja. So that becomes key. So Uganda has got lithium too. Uganda has tin. Uganda has got gold. You know, sometimes when we are mentioning the critical minerals, we do not mention gold, but gold is a precious metal too.
So Patrick, while we have them, I could be stepping on gold right now. So which are the hotspots that have these critical minerals? Okay, so you have Jinja with the Makutu.
You have Tororo. There was a project there, the Sukulu, because you know Africa and Uganda specifically, we are an agricultural country which imports a lot of fertilizer. So you have tin, which is critical as well, and we've got copper. I may mention, but most of this information is actually on the Ministry of Energy's website. You could go in there and check. Uganda is well positioned in the critical mineral reserves at a point, and Priscilla, I could mention this. Just a few days, you know, Uganda officially opened a large production gold mining and refining project at Wagagai. This positions Uganda again in the global supply chain of critical and precious metals. So the metals do exist here, and the other one I would want to mention that where Uganda seems to have been ahead in all these discussions of energy transition is the Kira Motors. So the Kira Motors and the Kira EV, which started as, you know, in Uganda everything at times becomes a joke. So there were questions of, we need key things, let's say you could say essentials, maybe we need drugs, but why are you saying you want to manufacture cars? Let me mention to you that imagine if the only cars we can drive are electric and you cannot import them because the producer says they cannot produce so much. It happened in COVID. We couldn't have masks because we didn't have local production capacity. So I wish to credit His Excellency, the leadership at Makerere University, led by Dr. Tikodri. They moved out and saw something in the United States. They came back here and started on an idea. Today we have an EV production plant in Jinja, Kira Motors. It's a very big step forward. China's leading electric vehicle manufacturing currently, they were not in any way the lead. Tesla was the leading manufacturer of electrical vehicles. But how did it turn around? BYD because I mentioned one of the most important components in the whole conversation of electric vehicles is the battery. So BYD was traditionally for a very long time a battery manufacturing company with so much capacity. So what they did is they acquired a very small car manufacturing company that was failing, and now they are the leading manufacturers of electric cars in the whole world, and affordable.
All right, Patrick, let's localize this conversation.
Yes.
You did mention that there's a ban that on export,
yes.
and then you also did mention that we should have local production or
yes.
improved in that way. So value addition and economic transformation. When you look at these key goals for the African continent as the Mineral Strategy Group to promote value addition, across Africa there's a strong push for this shift. However, when it comes to Uganda, how are we localizing value addition through refining, processing, and manufacturing?
Okay, thank you so much, Priscilla. It's been an ongoing buzz and sensation across Africa that we need to locally value add minerals. I want to mention this, that it's very expensive, but nobody said that it's not doable. Yeah. So again, the new move requires leadership, and leadership that is determined. And that's why, again, I would say I wish to credit the president. At one time he said, no more export of ore.
Raw materials, yeah.
And when I say ore, it means that you dig a sizable amount, and this is usually soil, rock, no more export. So for me, I want to say that even when we talk about value addition, you must start with policies like that, that terminate any kind of export, even if you don't know how to do it. So the second thing is the Mining and Minerals Act of Uganda, 2022, which gets government into the mining sector. Across Africa, it has been done. But I want to tell you that it was Uganda that did it first. Why? How do I know? I have moved across 10 African countries. They're just doing it now. I heard of it and I saw it happen here. So policy-wise, Uganda is in the direction. So the National Mining Company means now government, Uganda gets involved in the mining. The next phase would be the value add. Now the value add, which necessarily doesn't mean that it may not mean that we are going to manufacture car body parts or something, but at least pre-processing. Like I said, pre-processing may mean separation. You have the tin ore or the lithium ore, but in lithium there's gold, and you didn't know. A 1 kg of gold now is about more than 100,000 USD. So how do you lose over so much?
Yeah.
You know, because you don't know. So at the level even of separation. So Uganda in the right direction of the policy, the Mining Act of 2022, very good. Establish a national mining company, very good, and operationalize it. It means Uganda has got stake now in the mining. So we'll go to the value add. Value add through again this policy. I know that there's a tin mining company, and it was slapped with you must value add here. That is ongoing. Let's talk about gold. It's the same thing. Wagagai is now doing gold bars. You know, that's value add. Now, let's go to Kira Metals. Kira Metals is using all metals. You could say iron ore, and I know that usually most Ugandans don't know some of the things that are happening, but it's good to orient yourself and visit and see what they're doing. They're all over. So, value adds mean setting up industries. But we may not in any way be able to consume all the metals that we do have. That means that we can pre-process, then you achieve a higher value at export. So I want to say that number one, the policy, the Mining Act, was an intentional direction towards decision towards value adding. The plants, like the companies like the Kira Metals, were such a step forward ahead, because now you're doing cars here, you're doing electric cars, you're doing the Kayolas here. You know, now with oil and gas, you can actually do your tires in Uganda. So there's a lot Uganda is already doing to value add. But what we need to do eventually, what we'll need to do is that there are where you say high value products, like the electronics. Everyone may not have a car, but at least everyone may have a phone. And that phone may have a battery, definitely has got a battery.
Okay, but that has to then be manufactured here locally.
Yeah. So that means where Uganda needs to go, number one, the local content, the skills required, we must interrogate. We must have our young people get to learn about metallurgy. We must twist around our education to face in the direction where we want to go.
All right, Patrick, as that is in the pipeline, let's talk about how these minerals can contribute to local job creation and industrialization rather than just enriching the foreign entities.
Priscilla, thank you so much. For our viewers, I've always mentioned that the mining sector, yes, for example, Ogagai was opened, sludge production, may employ directly, but nobody beats factories in employing more. So where we have high value of creating, where we have a better opportunity to create more jobs, is we must speak factories. Okay? So for example, let's talk about cement. So you have all these cement minerals for cement in Uganda. It means that in Uganda you can establish, and those cement companies are there. So we must investigate which industries come out of each metal, or which industries can easily be serviced by the mineral reserves that we have. Then we focus on how to set up those industries. That is the only way we can make meaning in terms of job creation with these mineral reserves we talk about. There will not be so many jobs in the mining sector because you're using excavators, machinery and technology. Not so many will be employed directly in the mining sector. But nobody beats the potential we can have if we can create industries out of the metals. Because we have them in large supply. You have a lot of iron ore in Kabale, and I know there's also a ban on export. So we can have processing, over there, and then value add. Then you can service all these countries around us. So the true jobs, the real jobs, are going to be from the industry. And I would mention this, Priscilla. The real jobs in the industries are not for qualification; they are for skilled labor. They are technical jobs. For those Ugandans who say, how do I get involved in the mining sector, they're talking about.
Which skills are you talking about specifically? Because when you say without qualifications, someone is thinking, yeah, we've had that story, but people are seeing a different reality through the oil and gas sector. How different is it from the mineral sector?
I would say again that, so for example, when you look, we give a case of Hoima. So the bars of oil in Uganda, Uganda is eventually an oil-producing country. We're going to have a lot of jobs. So the high-tech jobs for the youngsters who work at the plant, most of these processes are driven by technology. Nobody goes down in there for drilling. So you set all these things. But what happens is that what is happening in Hoima, there's been a lot of construction. So that means civil engineers, electricians, plumbers have got a lot of jobs. So we must be able to look at the effect of a given sector. So with mining, Uganda is a developing country. For those of you who can Google and look at Dubai, we're going to be like that country. We are going to need all those skyscrapers. Eventually, when we make some money, Dubai had oil, we have oil. They don't have base metals, we have a lot of metals. They don't have gold. So what happens is that the jobs are for welders, and I wanted to get to that point, is that at the first phase of oil in Uganda, the jobs were for welders because of the East African pipeline, oil pipeline. And I will tell you, Priscilla, that it was a hassle to find people who were actually ready for that kind of welding. But I want to thank government through the local content policy, is that today we have welders, more than enough that can do this job. So get in the vocational institutions, and I want to credit government again for the recent reviews, but invest in recent technology. You cannot train me on an old technology which is no longer in the market.
When the practice is going to require me to engage with the new technology.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's an investment, actually, Patrick. So now you're then having to look, or having government to look at financing and funding. And that's a very critical element in the implementation of these strategies.
You have money. Yeah. You're making the mining.
Where is the money? You say we have the money. Where is the money?
You're going to make the money from the mining.
Okay.
You're going to make the money from the oil. Purpose this money for some key sectors. Industries, skilling, these two move together.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So speaking of financing, we have seen discussions on central banks holding gold and critical minerals to strengthen national economies. What's the potential when it comes to Uganda to use this mineral wealth as our financial security instrument?
It's a good thing, I would say, that, and it's not just happening in Uganda only, where central banks are buying gold. And Priscilla, I want to mention to you that as Africa Mineral Strategy Group, one of the things we saw, I mentioned to that mineral diplomacy. Most at most cases, African countries did not have space in the discussions where decisions are made. We are producers, but decisions are made, standards are developed against these sectors where we are producers. For example, Dubai is a wonderful market for gold, is one of the biggest markets for gold in the whole world, but it doesn't mine gold. Most of the gold comes from Africa. And I want to thank again Dubai, because with them, at their Dubai Precious Metals Conference, which happens every year in November, we were able to create a side event, which is the Africa Mining Forum on responsible sourcing of gold from Africa. Now, the piling of gold by central banks is the obvious one, stabilizing the local currencies. But of course, gold prices quite fluctuate depending on geopolitics, if you know what moves these markets. So yes, we can back up our currencies, but we should not depend on the piles. We should think of other ways of how to subsidize these other ways of let's say raising money. Number one, there's mineral tokenization. That's a wonderful one. There are gold coins which people can buy. It's a very good way to keep money, and other ways. So, and other metals will be coming, because I know now they are buying gold, but they will be buying other metals.
Patrick, in closing, as we look to the future, what are the next critical steps for Uganda to fully leverage on our mineral potential and truly power our economy?
It's another thing, Priscilla, to be part of this wonderful endeavor as Africa Mineral Strategy Group, and I want to credit the government of Uganda. We've received a lot of support from here through the leadership of His Excellency and the Ministry, Honorable Ruth Nankabira, Honorable Fiona Nyamtoro, and the team at the Ministry want to thank you so much. So, countries that have benefited, squeezed all the value out of the mining sector, have got to think of, have started from where it starts from. For every metal, it's got a tradition of how it is produced, just like any other sector. If you sell milk, there are people with different, sizable numbers of cattle that produce, and then there's a milkman who goes around collecting the what. So do not kill that structure. Do not kill that structure. It may be disorganized, but organize them. So in this case, formalize your artisanal miners. They can feed into, feed into your large-scale producers. Formalize your artisanal miners. That is one. Number two, value addition, value addition, value addition. But it has to be done the right way. It has a lot to do with technology. We must secure the technologies as early as we can. And we have a leverage. If China now produces the highest technologies for mining, they want something from us, we have a bargain. give us the technologies to extract, process rare earth elements.
Yeah.
Those are the quite very technical. And then we exchange with the metals you want.
All right, Patrick Mulindwa, Chief of Staff with the Africa Mineral Strategy Group, to which Uganda is one of the founding members. And at the end of the day, African Mineral Strategy Group, we trust that with the regional collaboration, they can help Uganda leverage our collective bargaining power, compliancy, but also global standards, something that can create fair access to international markets. That brings us to the end of this conversation. Do stay with us. More conversations coming up shortly.